It's 10 o'clock. This is Sky News at 10. Our top story, the ruins of Gaza witnessed from the air as Israel prepares to extend its military campaign. The desperation on the ground and the condemnation from abroad as Sir Keir Starmer says Israel's decision is simply wrong. Also tonight, the face-to-face meeting on the future of Ukraine as Donald Trump confirms he will meet President Putin and that some swapping of territories could be part of the deal. Murdered during his school lunch break, the killer of 15-year-old Harvey Wilgoose is found guilty at his trial. The protesters returning to the streets, challenging the housing of asylum seekers in hotels. And reeling them in, the photos from the unlikely friendship between America's Vice President and Britain's Foreign Secretary. Also ahead, we'll take a first look at tomorrow's front pages in our press preview from 10:30 right through till midnight. Hello, good evening. Gaza is barren and scorched. An apocalyptic catastrophe. That's the words from our correspondent Diana Magnay, who flew over the territory earlier today. Diana was on board one of the flights which Israel is now allowing to parachute in aid, though the method can only deliver a tiny fraction of what is needed there. The flight took place hours after Israel's Security Cabinet approved a plan for the country's military to take control of Gaza City, a prelude to a full military takeover. Diana flew on a Jordanian aid mission. And just to warn you that her report does include images of a child injured on the ground in Gaza.
Come with us on this journey and look down over Gaza. We're flying in from the north on board a Jordanian Air Force aid flight. Down there is Beit Lahia, charred and scorched like bits of charcoal scattered across the land after a fire. One that's burnt as far as the eye can see. That's the Jabalia refugee camp, once one of the most densely populated places on Earth. And now we're approaching Gaza City, Benjamin Netanyahu's next target.
The UN says that 78% of all the buildings in the Gaza Strip have been destroyed or damaged. And 92% of the housing stock, 92% of people's homes have gone.
This is where the Jordanian crew unload. Tightly packed parcels of baby formula, flour, food and other basics. Meant to land in places, and Gaza City's one of them, where the lorry convoys don't reach.
That was 8 tons of food that this plane just dropped. It is estimated that Palestinians in Gaza need 2,038 tons of food every single day just to meet their basic needs. And these drops are dangerous, they are inaccurate. We have seen people running to try and secure what they can. We have seen the crushes. We have seen people get killed when the parachutes fail and the pallets fall on top of them. It is a dehumanizing way of distributing aid. And yes, more of the lorries are slowly coming in. But what is needed is not just a trickle like this. A flood of aid is needed to help people in Gaza.
Our camera teams are on the ground waiting for the aid drops, and there's a sense of excitement. At least these planes aren't sent to bomb people. There's less to be fearful of.
To be honest,
the real reason I came out is to make the kids happy, for their entertainment. People get violent with each other. It's completely unnecessary. The way they fight over bits and pieces, it's created gang-like behaviour.
And swarming crowds are dangerous. This is a built-up area. Parachutes are not going to land well. And the weight of people on this balcony trying to reach the aid is too much. It gives way. This man's son, Karam Kalhout, was critically injured in one of the aid drops this Friday. In the hospital, he is distraught.
We don't want aid drops. To hell with these aid drops. They're killing our children. He was his father's only support. His father is disabled, injured by the Israelis in 2000.
It has been 22 months of despair for the people of Gaza. And there seems to be no respite. With even what small efforts the international community make, in this case doing more harm than good. Dana Magne, Sky News, Jerusalem.
The family of one of the remaining hostages held in Gaza said that the decision to send the Israeli military into all of the Palestinian territory will cause a lot of unwanted deaths. That opposition from some inside Israel was mirrored by many senior figures outside. So Keir Starmer saying the decision was wrong. Our international correspondent Alex Rossi has more.
The conflict in Gaza has now raged for nearly 2 years. As the Israeli military continues to strike what it claims are Hamas targets, the prospect of a ceasefire appears increasingly remote. Instead, Israel is preparing to expand its operations in what's beginning to resemble a forever war. Since Hamas's October the 7th attack, Israel has steadily advanced across Gaza. 10 months on, much of the territory is now either under military control, marked for evacuation, or designated as militarized zones. These zones have expanded dramatically. 2 key security corridors, the Netzarim and Philadelphia routes, have effectively sliced through the Gaza Strip, reshaping its geography and fragmenting its population. And this is the current reality. As Sky News analysis of IDF data found, Israel now operates across 85.6% of Gaza. Now, with the approval to seize Gaza City, seen as the de facto capital and administrative heart of Hamas, Israel could deliver a major symbolic and strategic blow. Even within Israel's defence establishment, concerns are growing. Military officials are warning of the dangers of a prolonged occupation of this territory, one that could transform Israel's army into a long-term policing force for millions of Palestinians. Opposition to the war is growing, with almost daily protests on the streets. Hostages' families believe this latest move will put their loved ones' lives in even greater danger.
Stop this. We know this decision is going to cause a lot of unwanted death of more soldiers and hostages.
The shift in strategy also carries major diplomatic consequences.
I am concerned about what is developing in Gaza at this time and the recent decision by the cabinet, and hugely concerned, as I think a lot of Israeli people are, about the impact, particularly on the hostages.
And as the civilian death toll climbs and the humanitarian crisis worsens, those international calls to end, not expand the war, are likely to grow even louder. Alex Rossi, Sky News.
This time next week, Donald Trump could be meeting his Russian counterpart, a senior White House official stated today. Tonight, the US president said he would meet Vladimir Putin, though he didn't give a date. Moscow has reportedly given a list of demands to agree a ceasefire, and Donald Trump said some territory could be swapped as part of any deal. We can go live to David Blevins at the White House. Donald Trump speaking a little earlier this evening. We brought it to viewers live here on Sky News. And David, what makes President Trump think he is the man to end this war?
Well, Donald Trump is the only person talking to all sides. He's in touch with Russia, he's in touch with Ukraine, he's in touch with other European leaders with a vested interest. And in his words, they all want peace. So we've gone from the White House talking about a meeting being tentatively scheduled for the end of next week to Donald Trump confirming that he will meet with Vladimir Putin soon, that he believes they are very close to a peace deal, and that he will announce the location for that meeting shortly. There are 4 places on that list: the United Arab Emirates, Hungary, Switzerland and Rome. It will be the first meeting between a US president and a Russian president since 2019. They've not come face to face since Russia's invasion of Ukraine. But Donald Trump is hopeful he can end that war. Let's just listen to what he had to say.
I'll be meeting very shortly with President Putin. It would have been sooner, but I guess there's security arrangements that unfortunately people have to make. Otherwise, I'd do it much quicker. He would too. He'd like to meet as soon as possible. I agree with it. Europe wants to see peace. The European leaders want to see peace. President Putin, I believe, wants to see peace, and Zelensky wants to see peace. Now, President Zelensky has to get all of his everything he needs, because he's going to have to get ready to sign something, and I think he is working hard to get that done.
President Trump went much further than we expected by talking about the potential swapping of territory as part of any deal. We know the Russians have sent a demand list to the White House in return for any ceasefire, and we know that the White House is talking to Ukraine and other European leaders about that. But President Zelensky has always insisted he will not concede any territory that was annexed in the course of the war. This evening, Donald Trump has brokered a peace deal between Azerbaijan and Armenia. It's the 6th conflict he claims to have ended, and it's now very clear he has the ending of a 7th one in his sights.
David, thank you. David Blevins at the White House for us this evening. The family of a teenage boy murdered outside his school cafeteria by another student saw the killer face justice today. He was found guilty of murder. Harvey Wilgoose was stabbed to death in February. His sister said she and her family now want to raise awareness of knife crime after the murder of a warm, funny, caring boy. Katerina Vitozzi reports now from Sheffield Crown Court.
It was the start of a new school week. And here, underneath this green dot, the 15-year-old defendant arrives at All Saints Catholic High School in Sheffield. Harvey Wilgoose, the boy he would kill a few hours later, also arrived for his day at school. Later in the corridor, the defendant, who we can't name for legal reasons, was seen pushing Harvey. We can't show you what came next. When, a few minutes into the school lunch break, outside the school canteen, the defendant used a 13-centimetre hunting knife to fatally stab Harvey twice in the chest. Images from afterwards show the boy with the knife. He told teachers, "You know I can't control it, and I'm not right in the head." This footage was shown to a jury at Sheffield Crown Court. They'd heard that Harvey and the defendant used to be friends, but had fallen out after taking sides in a fight involving other students.
The boy who's been found guilty of Harvey's murder thought carrying a knife would offer him protection and change the way his peers looked at him. He might even have wanted them to fear him. But the painful reality is that his decision led to him taking an innocent life, tearing the lives of 2 families apart, about to land him in prison.
Ahead of today's verdict, we spoke to Harvey's mum and dad. They said their son was a joy, someone who never stopped smiling.
And he said, "I love you, Mum. Shut door behind me."
These were the last words Caroline Wilgoose would ever hear her son say.
I blame myself. We badgered him to go to school, and I feel like we've led him into the lion's den. There is a problem in all schools with knives. I'm not scaremongering, but it is a way of life now for kids, and it needs to stop, and we need to get knife archers, which is my next thing. I want knife archers in schools and colleges.
During the trial, the court heard how the defendant had had previous violent outbursts at school, including one in which a teacher had felt threatened. The police found photographs on his phone of him posing with knives. And on one occasion, teachers even reported him to the police after the defendant's own mother had got in contact with them to say she had found what turned out to be an axe in his bag at home just months before Harvey was killed.
I don't think we'll ever get whatever happens, it'll never be justice, it'll never be enough for me.
Why is that?
Just because Harvey's lost, a young lad has lost his life. There can be nothing what will happen in that court will ever bring him back. We've got to live the rest of his lives. Sophie and Lewis are struggling.
He's took our lives as well.
For me, he had a short life, but he had a good life. And he crammed everything in. And you have to take the positives from that. Sorry.
I feel that he was put here for a reason. That's how I feel. And that's why I can't let myself go until I put things right for him.
Katerina Vitozzi, Sky News, Sheffield.
Protesters against the housing of asylum seekers have again been on the streets of a number of towns and cities this evening. It's in the week that the government's new one-in, one-out exchange agreement with France came into effect. One of the places where people were protesting this evening was Norwich, and our home editor Jason Farrell reports from there.
At the Brook Hotel in Norfolk, around 300 anti-migrant protesters sang a song about good times never feeling so good. But that wasn't their message for the migrants living inside the hotel.
We don't know who's in there. It could be a bunch of terrorists.
What makes them more dangerous, though, then?
We don't know where they're from.
Don't know who they are.
Undocumented males, all of a certain age, been invaded.
And I have seen with my own eyes school children being hassled from males, illegal males that have come into this country from this hotel, and I have seen it for myself in the area.
What sort of thing?
Just being followed, ask them for their phone numbers.
When I see my company paying north of £100,000 a year in tax, and tens and hundreds of companies like mine are paying north of 100,000 or more in tax, and the money's not gone back into our system, it's not gone back into our NHS, it's not gone back into our health. When it takes £2 million a year to keep one hotel open.
There had been a call to action for anti-migrant protesters to come out across the country en masse. Here, police created a green zone in the car park to separate two opposing groups.
The curtains are closed, but no doubt the migrants can hear on one side of the car park a group determined to get rid of them, and on the other, counter-protesters who couldn't be more welcoming.
Show us what community looks like. This is what community looks like.
It's unfair that these people are going to be intimidated like that, and to show that not everyone in the UK thinks this way.
I live in this area and I see these people every day, and they do nothing wrong whatsoever. They live their lives, bless them. They cause no problems whatsoever. They genuinely are very sweet people who don't deserve what's happening.
They're not who they are made out to be. I'm happy to see them. I would trust them any day far more than I would those people.
This hotel was taken over by the Home Office nearly 3 years ago, but protests here only began this summer. And their numbers seem to be growing. Jason Farrell, Sky News.
A yellow heat health alert has been issued for large parts of the UK. The warning has been issued by the UK Health Security Agency from 12 p.m. on Monday until 6 p.m. on Wednesday. The alert covers Yorkshire and the Humber, the East Midlands, the east of England, London, the South East and South West. People in England with cancer in their head or neck will be fast-tracked onto a new potentially transformative vaccine trial. More than 100 patients are expected to be included in this trial, with the first already having received a dose. The man who commanded one of the most famous space missions of all time, Jim Lovell, has died at the age of 97. Lovell was in charge of the Apollo 13 craft, which managed to return to Earth safely despite suffering an explosion on the way to the moon. NASA said his life and work had inspired millions. Now, the story was like one from a novel. A man who said he was an Irish orphan living in Scotland, instead accused of being a fugitive from justice in the United States, who faked his own death. That man, Nicholas Rossi, will stand trial next week in his homeland on rape charges, which he denies. Our US correspondent James Matthews interviewed Rossi in Scotland at a time when he still claimed to be called Arthur Knight. James has travelled to the state of Rhode Island, where Rossi was born, to meet some of the people who knew him.
Nicholas Rossi is the man of many faces. Finally, he is facing American justice. He turned up in Glasgow, calling himself Arthur Knight and claiming he grew up an orphan in Ireland. The con came with a contorted Irish accent.
Galway
the Belfast, Dublin, or specifically my wife and his wife. I'm still Catholic to this day.
US authorities knew him as a rapist on the run. They fought for his extradition in a Scottish court as the world learned his backstory. Rossi grew up in Rhode Island. They knew him at the State House. He worked as a page, a politician's assistant, before becoming a campaigner for child welfare reform.
Madam Chair, you're the first chairperson to actually get that correct. Thank you so much.
Nicholas Rossi is evil.
Brian Coogan learned of the youngster's dark side. The former state representative tried to adopt him. The adoption judge wouldn't let him.
He said he's a bad seed. I can't let you adopt him. I said, Chief, I'm gonna adopt this kid. I made up my mind. He goes, I'm not gonna let you.
Violence in Rossi's younger years extended into adulthood.
I didn't know it was possible to be so alone.
Catherine Heckendorn was Rossi's second wife. It was an abusive marriage that Catherine instantly regretted. At one stage, she recorded Rossi the abuser.
Give me your phone. Give me your phone. Stop ignoring me!
As a man wanted for sexual crimes in the state of Utah, Rossi faked his own death.
It was a woman with a high-pitched English posh accent, sounding like Hyacinth Bouquet, asking if we could have a memorial mass, that Nicholas had died.
In Rhode Island State House, there were tributes to a colleague passed away. But police soon established that Rossi was very much alive and had fled abroad.
I got a phone call from a Rhode Island State Police detective who said, "This is Father Healy. Just want you to know that Mr. Rossi is not dead. He's in hiding and he's wanted."
Rossi came to the UK and married Miranda Knight in 2020. The pair came to Glasgow. It was to there the US authorities tracked Rossi's digital footprint. He wasn't home when police called, as he was in hospital with COVID. Medical staff recognized the fugitive from his tattoos. In interviews with Sky News, the married couple insisted he wasn't the wanted man.
Are you that man? Are you Nicholas Rossi?
I can veritably say that I have not ever once done any of the acts that you just described.
He shows love, he shows patience. I never feel unsafe.
Nicholas Rossi was extradited from Scotland to America. On home soil, he finally confessed to the lie.
Mr. Knight, can you also tell us other names that you've gone by previously?
I was born with the name Nicholas Albertian. In 1996, I had that surname changed by my stepfather when it became Rossi.
Do you still stand by your husband?
A footnote to the story comes in the phone calls made to report Nicholas Rossi's fake death.
Basically, the priest was explaining that he had done his first funeral on Monday.
The caller said she was Louise, his widow. The voice was strikingly similar to Miranda, his wife. Her involvement remains an open question in a story about to enter its next chapter, set inside a Utah courtroom. James Matthews, Sky News, in Rhode Island.
Now, we saw him a little earlier in News at 10, the US Vice President, J.D. Vance, who has just started a working holiday here in the UK. He'll spend most of it in the Cotswolds, but it began at the Foreign Secretary's Grace and Favour home in Kent, from where our political correspondent Tamara Cohen reports.
It's quite the location for a family summer holiday, but Vice President J.D. Vance and his family have joined the Foreign Secretary for a weekend at his official residence, having struck up an unlikely special relationship.
I really have become a good friend, and David has become a good friend of mine, and so it's great to spend some time here with him and his family.
Mr. Lammy says they've bonded over their tough childhoods and shared Christian faith.
In a sense, this is an indication of the long-standing bonds that exist between our two countries.
Spirits were high on a fishing trip organised for his special guest.
In the brief time that we've been here, my kids have fallen asleep on your floor. We've gone fishing in the lake outside. Unfortunately, the one strain on the special relationship is that all of my kids caught a fish, but the foreign secretary did not. I'm sorry. Spend time together.
But it was also a chance to discuss international affairs, with the UK and US at odds over recognition of a Palestinian state.
Do you think that's a bad decision?
Well, it's one of the things that we're going to talk about. Obviously, the United Kingdom is going to make its decision. We have no plans to recognize a Palestinian state. I don't know what it would mean to really recognize a Palestinian state, given the lack of a functional government there.
Despite their political differences, these two men have warmed to one another, but it's highly unusual for the Foreign Secretary and the Vice President of the United States to enjoy a private mini break like this. Yes, it reflects their closeness, but also the emphasis the Trump administration put on personal relationships in politics. In the nearby village of Chipstead, the visit caused quite a stir.
I've just seen a clip of them fishing, and hopefully they'll come up with some good decisions that will be good for the world.
Obviously, it's quite a big deal. So, yeah, and the conversations that they're having are huge. So I think people are intrigued, especially because not much happens. So, yeah.
JD Vance, be afraid. We'll see you in The Hague.
These protests were kept at a distance, but the Middle East is one potential flashpoint this week, and the president's plans for Ukraine another. Then it was back to the highlight of the morning for the vice president.
Yeah, I don't want to brag, but we did okay.
He and his family will head to the Cotswolds and Scotland. The UK can only hope his visit will help ease transatlantic tensions. Tamara Cohen, Sky News, Kent.
Well, that was Sky News at 10. Coming up, we'll be taking a first look at tomorrow's newspapers in our press preview. Tonight, we are joined by the Conservative Home's Deputy Editor Henry Hill and the journalist and author Christina Patterson. Among the stories that we'll be discussing, this story that's on the front page of The Times, its headline, pertinent in holiday season, tough checks on EU trips. We'll be right back.